let's start talking about the number of rookies that are presenting themselves in this matches, at least starting with the LA Gladiators.
LA Gladiators have focused a lot more on veterancy and trying to bolster the core they already had. All three of their support players, Shu, Funny Astro and Skewed, could be realistically considered the best in their world at their signature heroes on Ana, Lucio and Brigitte respectively. And it feels like Gladiators have stuck on those old reliable players and really tried to mix in some young fresh talent like Rainer and Patiphan to really give them the edge.
And I know the desk were really excited about Kilo versus Ons on the hit scan, but you've already seen your starters won't be Ons for now. But Patiphan, I know, is an interesting subject when it comes to the Gladiators. I know I would hate to be on any of these rosters because you're on like MVP level players on both these teams, and then Patiphan, who's equally as talented but had maybe a slower start to the season, and you see the frustration on his face, blaming himself on social media. But this is a young player that is starting to feel the pressure of returning to the Overwatch League. But it's been really cool to see him perform. Patiphan has come in as their Genji specialist, and Kevster usually comes in to play around the Genji Echo Tracer. But Patiphan, I'm mostly seeing the Genji out of him. So I'm looking forward to see how he's going to grow on this team, and hopefully the mental as well. You got to stay strong through the losses. One was all about the Genji. But ever since week 1, Shock have started moving away from the Genji. Now they're taking advantage of Proper's Tracer, and Echo Flex is from Proper, and he's dipped by Funny Astro of all people. The Tack Visor from Patiphan on the high ground, especially the Soldier is a new look for him, but makes sense for now. Gladiators have warded away the Shock, and the gap is now getting larger. On 2, and Shock can't touch. 100 to 34 ends University.
And Rainer engages in the psychological warfare here against his former teammate C9.
Yeah, and that's my issue with the Gladiators, though, is that they're extremely confident people. Like, they have a reason to have the egos that they do, but remember what happened against the Dallas Fuel? They started teabagging, they started crouching on control, and look what happened. So just make sure that stays measured. To go to the Shock as we decide this on map 3.
And old friends continue to exchange blows. C9, says Kaluj. Rifle Lemon, and Gladiators are going to take Oasis. We framed this as a battle between two gargantuan teams, but one that was loaded with veterans. One that assembled the infinity gauntlet of some of the best players that had already been in the league, and the team that went out to Korea, scouted the best in O2 Blast, turned them into their academy team, and picked up the best that they could find. But towards the end there, it was really a continuum of play from Kevster, all about that survivability that showed exactly what a veteran brings to the table, knowing when to get aggressive and when to play to live. Proper makes no visor, so we don't have to worry as much about Kilo. But Kilo is just as accurate without the visor. Speaking of which, Patiphan now visor slims! Unbelievable!
And we're just 10 seconds away. The Shock can't reset at this point. Patiphan needs to become a target. He has the tactical visor, no nano, and you don't even need it. But the bubble was not bursted. Shock protected themselves for now. It's a 3-on-4 as the Gladiators spawn, keep them reinforced, and the sound bear from Buddy Astro. And Buddy Astro even got nanoed, but anyway, it'll be enough to keep the defense alive. Shu will survive against Kaluj. Shu climbs up, and Nano's Patiphan. Tactical visor unleashed. The sound barrier too. A huge investment from the Gladiators as Violet tried to protect the team with the sound barrier. It's too late. Patiphan, it's his turn for the 4K. And the Gladiators are on the cart, and because they got so much push with it, this could be a point B cap.
Did you see Patiphan going, no, when Rainer denied his ace? Oh, big BM from the big tank man.
Available for both teams, but it's the visor first from Patiphan, Sounder from Bunny Astro, and Violet to counter. Kilo is down, number advantage for the attack as they start pushing Shock against the wall. Facts about to hit the floor. Gladiators are out of ults unless Ryder can survive long enough for the primal rage, and it might be the case. 2 fall for the Shock. A 5 versus 3. Finn needs to stay alive. He's closest to Nano, and Proper will be depending on him as the win con for the Shock. A great sleep hits Ryder, but he is spooked, and the defense asleep. The Gladiators will go to series point.
What a positioning from Rhino, just primal raging in that doorway where everyone was gathered up from a San Francisco Shock to try and support a proper who needed body blocking. He was so low, but he had been antied. There was no healing that was being available. You had to keep Rhino at bay somehow and maybe try and fashion a way to get the tactical visor, which was ready, out into the midst of the action. The LA Gladiators, they made sure that that hole was very thoroughly covered. What a performance on one of their best maps, and San Francisco Shock. Art has influence, Lemon. Do you know what else has influence?
Yeah.
Some members of the LA Gladiators. We've seen some C9s in the chat posted on Oasis. They weren't necessarily accurate, but after the end of Midtown, we got the nicest guy in Southeast Asia joining in on the C9 train, Patiphan, declaring it. Of course, Patiphan, hailing from Thailand, some would say the most successful Southeast Asian player in the entirety of Overwatch, now on the LA Gladiators. And, well, doubters proved wrong. Where are you now? Patiphan doing just fine against a lot of people's favorite team in the San Francisco.
Long range. Now the shock. What a stick! Kevster fights Finn. Limited heal now for the shock, but you can rely on Violet. Got to group up around the rally as Patiphan. He has the nano, he has the visor, and he has the kills. Already 2 and now 3 gone. Gladiators will stabilize. Right. Kind of had to deal with this bubble. Gladiators are somewhat safe. Patiphan gets nanoed. It was a little early, but as soon as he's in the right position, Patiphan delivers an instant double kill. Finn, I mean, he's 1 HP. He ain't gonna expose himself for this, and Kaluj Primal Rage was hoping to get some kind of trade, but not enough attention was given to Patiphan, and he stood tall, so shot gotta reset. Soundery is very early in this fight from Bunny Astro as Patiphan is shooting from Jupiter, and Kaluj just jumps on him right away. I think he might even got nanoed by Finn. Soundberry, so you gotta hope that he can live, or that the team can hold on for long enough. The tactical visor is used late. The shock were already disengaging, but they didn't fully leave. They were in mini pack room. Patiphan not able to get the staggers he was hoping for. Gladiators stabilized for now.
I have put on my tactical visor goggles and all I see is a poor decision made. Right there, Patiphan may have been slightly nervous about losing a fight into the dregs of a shock, but the disengage was clean. Speaking of engages, it's going to be Rhino straight into the midst of the Gladiators, backed up by the barrier.
Oh, Soundbear engage and Kester, he's feeling himself. 3K slicing and dicing. Finally, the 3-1 trade happens, but the shock are down for the count and 30 seconds remain. We'll yet to find out if they can even complete the map.
LA Gladiators, if they could 3-0 this, I think that would repair Rhino's fractured mental from the reverse sweep that was given over by Dallas. And at that point, we have to ask, like, was it a little bit of a fluke from the Gladiators that they got reverse swept by Dallas when they started off 2-0 upwards? However, this is not over yet. Gladiators could be reverse swept again. I'll try not to speak it into existence, but sorry, Glads fans, if it comes to happen. Harassed by Kaluj, speaking of which, the nano's given over. Shu becomes more vulnerable. Big stick.
Kevster starts off this fight strong for the Gladiators, who are left with less than 2 minutes just to cap A. Kilo sends Bob on the cart to contest. The Gladiators are on the right side. They've nano Patiphan, but he doesn't want to be in hug distance from Kaluj. Do you understand this?
Sleep. Shu's just built different, man.
Now the nano from Patiphan, you gotta go big here while the monkey is asleep and has found Finn's hiding spot. And through the nano, through the fire and the flames, Patiphan still goes on, and the Gladiators now can carry this momentum towards point B. A couple more seconds, someone has to touch, and is anyone there from the Gladiators? There is not, so the shock will take the map.
No 3-0 sweeps today, Lemon. This is the series we were promised, and hell, it could even be the dream of a reverse sweep. Or should I say, if you're a Gladiators fan, the unfortunate deja vu, the recurring nightmare, the terror in the night that is once again potentially a reverse sweep.
Then Reiner was. Another interesting compositional choice from at least the Gladiator side of things was Patiphan on the Genji. Now, I can't think of a more miserable experience than playing into a Finn Violet support duo, especially with a Brigida present and an Ashe that can do the same thing to you. But we were kind of coming up with conspiracies as Patiphan maybe not feeling himself on the soldier and going to what he's most comfortable, which is the Genji. For both teams, it's Shu that keeps it to Patiphan, the tactical visor, and the safety of the bubble from Kaluj. But Violet with the well-timed sound barrier keeps Shock alive, as Finn and Kilo hope to fire back with the tactical visor and the nano boost combination. And
it's going to take Kaluj a little bit. Look at Patiphan on the flank with the visor, but they are in a 1 versus 3 now. No way. What a save.
And that doesn't miss those. Holy cow. Patiphan has just had issues just staying awake while using an ult. And now leaders to 37. The Shock about to force the game 5. And Gladiators are nowhere to be seen. You've spoken into existence. Get your brooms ready. We're going to game 5.
Oh, I hope I haven't made an enemy of every single LA Gladiators fan, but San Francisco Shock, they have unlocked the secrets, and I love how they backed off from that Lemon. The Opera. Can a resurrection occur? Can the reverse sweep be avoided? And can Reiner's mental be patched up from a briny grave? Find out after this break. Is going to be at its most valuable.
Nano from Shu to Reiner with lava slide. Look at Sam, and he's awake and he's gone just this quick. Shu has also been removed from this fight. Reiner still paving the way to victory for the Gladiators, who are ahead. Not much they can do as the middle of the map is owned by Patiphan, and the Gladiators will take round 1. No heals for the Gladiators, and a tactical visor from Patiphan failed to make any waves besides trading out with Sam, and the Shock are still okay. 82% for the Gladiators now means that they only need to win 1 fight to not only take the round, but deny the reverse sweep. You have Shu coming back as the Moira, but the blade from Sam will cut down the chances of the Gladiators sustaining through this without Shu and Buddy Astro involved. Overtime goes away, and Shock will force round 3. Moira just can't seem to keep up with the heals that Finn is putting out, but the turn is so much stronger from the Gladiators. The blade is big. Patiphan got a multi-kill, and the Shock thought they were okay, and they're not.
A blade
back, 99% for the Shock, and they win it here. It will be it. Proper. The debt has been made. The Gladiators fall. It's not shields up. It's brooms up. Shock will take the game 5.
And that is a mastery of tactics and continuum of play from the San Francisco Shock. Sam comes in from the back. It's the first Death Blossom. And they believe that this is the play. This is what might define it. And so Funny Astro has to use the beats to keep it sustained, to keep the Gladiators in this matchup. But no, it was all a bait. It was a setup for the big boy, the real spin to win. The Beyblade coming from a top rope like El Luchador Reaper. And making sure that second Death Blossom, where the Hobbits thrive, is where the Gladiators fell.
I mean, I'm shocked after this, and we couldn't honestly pick a player of the match, but there's one player that stood above the rest. Your player of